We were in the business to educate. And so every morning I had to tell myself that today's about helping students achieve their goals and dreams by helping them prepare for their next stage in life. And it might be taking that student who's a thesis student at ORNL and works with some of the incredible scientists here in our mathematics program, or it might be a kid who's that close to dropping out. So there were both extremes, but I had to always remind myself not to let something minor become major. Thanks for the question. Yes?
Have you ever been in a mentoring relationship, either as a mentor or a protege, where the relationship didn't go quite as you might expect, it went south?
Mm-hmm.
How do you recognize it, and how do you change it? What are strategies for success?
That's an awesome question, Judy. Yes, both sides of that. There is some aspect to this relationship that is a connection. You can't manufacture it. You do your best to get people who you feel like, hey, they're going to connect well. I'm not talking about becoming best friends. I'm not saying, hey, let's go to dinner on Friday night. I'm talking about just a good connection, though. And I've had some relationships that there wasn't that good connection. Now, on the protege part, when I'm the mentor and the protege is apathetic, I'm irritated. When the protege is less than committed and enthusiastic, I feel like, wait a minute, I'm very willing to serve you, but hang on, you're not even coming halfway. You should want this at least as bad as I do and maybe more. And so I will just challenge that right away. Hey, you know, this is what I'm sensing. Help me if I'm missing it, but I'm not certain you really want to participate in this relationship. And that either wakes them up or they say, you know, you're right. I've gotten into this and don't really want it and didn't know how to get out of it. And they thank me for bringing it up and I thank them and we go our separate ways. I'm a lifelong learner and everybody in this room could teach me something. Now, I'm not interested in all of it because as we've gotten older, you know, we begin to streamline our interest. Like, I don't know how to change the oil in my car. Many of you could mentor me monthly or every 3,000 miles or whatever it is. I look at the sticker. Yeah. Or electrical work or plumbing or how to cook. I can scramble an egg. Okay? There are a lot of things that I could be mentored in, but a lot of things I don't have an interest in. And so as a protege, because I have such a passion to learn, when I go to people, and I still do this every month, I try to take somebody to lunch. I call it a learning lunch. I try to take somebody in any field who's a leader, and I just ask them questions. I buy their lunch, I call them, and I say, hey, I'm Chuck Carringer. I'm just passionate about leadership. I just want to grow to my full potential. I see where you're leading. I know somebody knows you or whatever. Can I take you to lunch and ask you questions for an hour? They say, yeah, you're the first person that ever asked me to do that, usually. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And we go to lunch. And so I've never had, when I was the protege, I've never had one of those that went badly because I so want to learn. But that's just part of my wiring. That was a great question. Let's do one more before Lauren says I got to go.
Can I follow up on that sort of interaction and this issue about learning from everyone? So thinking about a mentoring relationship, I mean, the way you sort of presented it is almost as a sort of one-way flow of information. There's a mentor that's serving a protege and providing knowledge to that individual. I suppose I like to think of it more as a two-way give and take. You know, for example, when I'm acting in a mentoring role, you know, I basically want to be mentoring people where I'm actually going to learn something in return. You know, I'm not, you know, so there's this element of altruism, and then I understand there's a bit of a hierarchy in relationship, but at the same time, you know, particularly in a research environment, you know, I'm really turned on by people and I'm interested in working with people that are going to tell me stuff that I don't know. And I'd like to think that, you know, mentors get into mentoring to take advantage of those types of opportunities. So does that seem feasible?
Ben, I think it's more than feasible. And I hope I did say that mentors, you'll be surprised how much you get out of this relationship. I do think that's true. And I always walk away having grown myself. But I think it's important that you begin from the premise of the mentor is most about serving the protege and not being served. And yes, everybody wins in most of these. But let's do understand that the reason the protege is seeking guidance from the mentor is because, in theory, the mentor has guidance to give. Thank you. It's a good question. I could stay and do this all day. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Lauren.
Okay.